Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing? Got some Battlefield 3 for you today, and we're playing on some Close Quarters Conquest Domination. And the Close Quarters DLC finally released to the general public, non-premium members on PC, and so I was able to pick that up yesterday. But I had to wait till this morning to actually get into a game, because it was pretty frustrating actually. The Origin Store menu was not available until like sometime in the mid-afternoon on the 26th, and then the servers actually didn't work. Like it just wouldn't let me into a game. It just would freeze on the loading screen over and over again for most of the afternoon and evening, so I just kind of called it quits and said I'll try it again today. And I have been able to get into games no problem. But yeah, so far my first impressions on the Close Quarters DLC, I've played every map, I've played every game type, Team Deathmatch, Gun Game, or Gun Master, and Conquest Domination. And so far I really think that I'm happy with Close Quarters. I'm happy that I bought it. I definitely get the feeling that DICE and EA are trying to patch holes in Battlefield 3, or the perceived holes, you know, with the maps, with the game types, and with the guns that they've released. Because if you look at it as a whole, you know, Battlefield 3, they're trying to appeal to a wider audience, clearly. You know, they're trying to branch out of the typical, stereotypical Battlefield crowd, and as you can see, I just unlocked the AUG A3. I was pretty pumped about that. But as I was saying, they're trying to appeal to a wider audience, and so, you know, with Back to Karkin, that was very much, you know, a tip to Battlefield's roots, which is great. But you know, with the popularity of Operation Metro and the, you know, movement towards a more fast-paced game in Battlefield 3, you know, because really, other than Metro, if you really like that style, there isn't a lot of availability for game types and servers. I mean, you can play Rush on Grand Bazaar, sometimes Sane Crossing can have a lot of action, but you know, other than Metro, Battlefield 3 didn't have a ton of maps that really were fast-paced, hard-hitting, close quarters type game styles. And so it seems pretty clear that DICE and EA are trying to patch that hole. They're trying to give the person who loves Metro, you know, the guys who love playing those 64-man Metro servers, give them some more options, give them some more game types available, some more maps available. And so, and also if you look at the game type, I would say both Conquest Domination and Gun Master have a feel of, I don't want to call it cheap thrill, but you know, it's definitely not as serious and tactical and relying on teamwork as Rush and Conquest on the bigger maps are. It's a lot more with the random spawns and the kind of chaotic nature of these maps. It's very much run and gun, point and click, just a little bit helter-skelter, you know, a Twitch type shooter. And as a whole, you know, when I play these games, it feels a little bit more like, oh, I'm just kind of running around shooting people. And I don't know, not to say that that is inherently a bad thing, but it's definitely different than traditional Battlefield, which requires a lot of tactics, you got to use your head, you got to think smart. I definitely find that with both Conquest Domination and Gun Master, you definitely, it's a lot more lighthearted. It's kind of something that I will, going forward, you know, once the kind of the newness of the luster of these close quarter wears off, it's something that I would come back to when I'm just kind of looking to relax and kind of mindlessly play Battlefield 3. Just kind of, you know, no stress, no tactics, just kind of running around and shooting people. And that's fun. I mean, that's cool, but you definitely have to realize that it's different, and it's not the traditional Battlefield experience with the heavy tactics. And so you just kind of have to be aware of that as you're playing. And overall, I think, you know, even if you look at the guns, too, that DICE put into the game, I think that also reflects the kind of the patching the holes that were in the available guns. You know, both of the assault rifles are slower firing, heavier accuracy, better long range. You know, because if you look at the assault rifles now, you've got the M16, the AEK, the F2000. You know, there's a number of even the FAMAS, there are high fire rate, good close quarters, whereas if you look for the slower fire rates, you know, you've got the AK-74M and the L-85, Those are kind of your main two. And I guess the G3A3 would kind of fit in there as well, but that one's a little bit more unique. But the AUG especially kind of sits in the middle of those two styles. And then the the SCAR L is kind of extending, you know, so it works even better at long range than like the, you know, L85 or the AK-74M. So I would say that those, and I would say that's very true of all the classes. You know, with the sniper rifles, the M417 sits between the SKS and like the MK mod. The J&G kind of bridges the gap between the M98B and the rest of the bolt actions. You know, the I don't know if I am really on board with the light machine guns yet. I haven't actually unlocked them. The I've heard good things about the L86. So that could really do a good job of, because there was a bit of a gap between like the M27 and really like the rest of the belt-fed LMGs. And then finally with the engineer weapons, both of those engineer weapons are definitely higher fire rate with the MTAR and the ACWR. You know, they're high fire rate because a lot of the engineer weapons are kind of, you know, you've got the M4, which is definitely the staple, but a lot of them are slower fire rate. You know, a little bit more mid-range type guns, whereas I feel like these two new weapons are definitely high fire rate, high damage output. So overall, the guns, I think they did a really cool job with the new weapons in kind of bridging some of the gaps in the whole arsenal. And overall, I'm really actually excited about these guns. I unlocked the AUG in this game and spent a lot of time using it, and I really am a big fan of it. It's a good weapon. It definitely, you know, it's at 700 rounds per minute, it's not so slow that it can't really kill up close, but it has such little recoil that it makes it kind of a beast at mid-range. So it's a sweet weapon. I also was able to unlock the Spaz, which is really sweet. I think the Spaz is a sweet shotgun because the 870 kind of sat on a bit of an isolation. It was kind of on its own as the only pump shotty and high damage, so the Spaz definitely kind of bridges the gap between, you know, the semi-auto shotguns and the pump actions. The pump action 870. And the Spaz is going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to getting some more gameplays with that gun. It's really sweet. And overall, I think the guns are probably the thing about the Close Quarters DLC that is most, I guess, has the most value, to be completely honest, because, you know, I think with these maps, granted, this is only a first impression. They're sweet. They're definitely fun, but the element of randomness, especially because the spawns are random, it just, I don't know, it can make things a little bit frustrating, and it can make things a little bit, it's just hard to really, like, stay alive for a long time. It's hard to, you know, really keep strategy going. And you know, one thing I tried actually in some of my later games, and I think it might be a good tip I've heard elsewhere on the internet, is to really just focus on 2 of the 3 flags. And that's something that it was kind of pretty typical of Call of Duty, of domination in Call of Duty, is you just want to make sure you're trying to hold 2 flags instead of all 3. And I would say that that very much applies, even though Conquest Domination doesn't play exactly like Call of Duty's Domination. I think that same mentality can really be effective, is if you can hold 2 flags and kind of play defense. You know, so on this map, kind of rotating between the B and C flags was what I had the most success with. Finding a path to go back and forth, and when one starts flashing, you just go and defend it. Because, you know, that definitely gives you an advantage. You know where people are going to be at. And then, even though if they're watching your hallway, you can usually get a jump on them because the capture radius is so small that they're very predictable as to where they're going to be. You know, and I appreciate that they turned down explosives on this map, because I have not been really annoyed by explosives, which is one thing if you play a lot of Metro you'll be really annoyed by, is the insane amount of explosives that goes on. So I think that was a really good choice. But overall, I definitely want to give the Close Quarters a thumbs up. I'm happy that I bought it. It's still the first day, so my first impression is definitely good. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to have a ton of longevity, but it may be just kind of the needed change of pace to breathe some life into Battlefield 3 when it gets dull. You know, because everybody has those moments when you just get tired of playing Conquest, you get tired of playing Rush, and you want to just do something different. And I think a lot of times in that situation, I'll go play something else. I'll go play DayZ or maybe Minecraft, or you just go and do something different. Whereas now with the new close quarters maps and game types, you can kind of, well, okay, if I'm tired of playing Conquest on a big map, or if I'm tired of playing Rush, I can go play some close quarters. I can play a couple rounds of Gunmaster. I can play some Conquest Domination. You know, it's a little bit more mindless, but still Battlefield 3, still fun. And so, you know, I can definitely see how DICE and EA are trying to give Battlefield 3 a more of a wide variety, a bit more of a range of enjoyable game types and modes. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. The guns are really great. Definitely give them a big thumbs up. The maps can be a little bit random, but they're still fun. There's still a lot of action, and the game types are good. Don't know if they have the longevity and stopping power of some of the other games, but they're still good in my opinion. But that's it. We actually lost. It was a pretty close game, but had some fun using the AUG and getting some of the other weapons unlocked. But hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know if you guys are getting close quarters if you were not a premium member, and I will see you later. Bye.